Hello and welcome again. It's me taking another look at the new DLC. In this video, I'll be focusing exclusively on the new maps and on the changes to the existing maps. I'll have a separate video about map scripting. This is more just for the casual viewer, to look at what new maps they've added. So the first one that's been added is called Glade, and it basically starts each player in like a little forest clearing, a glade, and in between there's sort of an open area, and then the middle is open as well. So it's kind of like arena. You don't start pre-walled, but I mean, easily wall that. We see some of the new bamboo trees here. Let's see if we spot any new animals as well. I see the deer here right now. I see some lavender bushes. They're the chickens. The chickens, as a reminder, are basically functioning as non-pushable deer with less food. Although they also exist in the version where they function like sheep with less food, which is possible that the map is also using it in that form. We'll have to check that. So let's generate a few more. I'm going to generate all of these maps in 2v2 style. So we definitely have different seasonal variations, but you can see the overall map layout is pretty consistent, and you can imagine what it would be like, if you're doing 8 players, then you'll have a bunch more of these spaces. If you're doing 2 players, then you only have one on each side. The other new map, look, we have some nice dead trees here. The other new map that we'll be seeing today is Fortified Clearing. These new maps all take a while to generate, so bear with me. There's this nice scenario editor pagoda here, or tower. You're only walled to the front, not to the back, and you can wall to the edge of the map if you want. The middle contains relics, but looks like the outside also has some here. But generally, more of the resources are clustered around the players, it seems, in 2v2, or at least near this forest ring. This is a map that's been used in competitive in different variations for a while now, including ones where the outside wasn't wallable, or were there other variations. Also, not all versions in the past supported more than 2 players, but this one does. Looks very nice again. We have some beautiful terrain mixing in various variations. There's been a fair bit of changes underlying in the map scripting, but that's a matter for a different stream. I just sort of want to kind of show what the map looks like. It's very consistent in the layout. You'll notice here in this 2v2 setup that there are 5 relics in the middle and then 1 relic between each set of players. And then there are several changes to existing maps. Now, we're not going to spend as much time on those, but let's just take a peek. Arabia, of course, always gets changes, so let's generate Arabia. And right about, we have some nice peach blossom trees here and the lush bamboo forest. There's a list of changes. You can see them in the preview patch notes, but here, for example, I want to focus on these chickens that are here instead of deer. These cannot be pushed, and they will sometimes replace deer. There are more of them because they each individually have less food, but you might need to mill them if you want to get them, or just long distance hunt them. This seems to be a variation with a fair amount of hills, and the new Asian pine tree as well. Huh. Well, I don't remember clicking on Battle on the Ice, but back to Arabia. Some of the Battle Royale maps have also been updated. I will not be looking at those because I don't think Battle Royale. So there's Grave there. Anyway, very nice. The map shouldn't be called Arabia these days. It should be called like Open Land map. And we see the chickens again. We just saw them again here. This There's been, yeah, there are also these dead tree variations that can spawn now. In the very desertish version. These chickens are spawning pretty frequently, I've got to say. So the era of deer pushing might be over. You can still get deer equivalents, but you can definitely end up with chickens instead. Right, the other maps that I want to check, I have a little list here. We need to look at Arena, Black Forest, and Nomad. As those are, and Yucatan if we want. Those are the ones with the biggest changes. So Arena, the change is, and we'll see it takes a long time to generate now, you don't have back walls anymore, which is fine. And it looks like the shape here is more consistent. This is more of a circle than I recall Arena being in the past. Also, chickens can't be pushed, but we also have deer back here. And so these chickens will spawn in various maps some of the time or all of the time. I think here in Arena, the central chickens are there all the time, sort of to encourage you to go out and go for them. We also have some, nice terrain changes here where we have these bushes on the outside of the forest. So all of these maps that I'm looking at have had, basically the script has been rewritten from scratch from my limited taking a look at it. Let's look at Black Forest next. Alright, we have a desert Black Forest, very good. It should be possible to completely prevent trapped resources in these bubbles these days. And it looks like we're also using the new stump object where you can basically gather from a stump. We have our chickens again, we have lots of stumps. Yeah, so it's also seeing a major overall. You basically don't have many of these trapped resource pockets anymore, to be honest. From what I can see here, it's more consistent in that regard now. Whether or not that's a good thing is up to debate. Some people might like the fact that you could go deep into a forest and find extra resources. Bushes in here, but it basically generates no trapped resources now and perhaps a more consistent layout. We don't have ponds anymore either, I'm noticing. I might have to upload like a classic version of some of these maps for people who don't like the changes. I backed up the entire game data folder ahead of doing all of this so that I can go and upload classic versions. Okay, we have a pond here. So when ponds generate, they generate consistently for... I say that. They generate a pond for each player. However, this pond has 2 shorefish, and all the other ponds only have 1 shorefish. So at least each player has a pond. There might be some additional consistency. 2 shorefish, 1 shorefish, 1 shorefish, and no ponds. You know what? I'm gonna make a note of that. Like, we can just straight up screenshot this one here. Like, because we're missing a pond and the shorefish are badly distributed. I'll send that on to Cassini. Right. Next map that we wanted to look at, to not get caught up too much here, is Nomad, which now has a chance again of being connected to the side of the map, from what I understand. It's only a chance, so we'll have to look a bit. I'm seeing chickens. Chickens will now be all over the place. Yeah, there's a chance that it's partially connected to the side, which I think is good, just because that's what Classic Nomad did, and then, where you dock has a bigger influence. We also have some new scenery, new water mixing here. We have willow trees. We have some, beachy type terrain on the outside. Like, this has also received a total makeover. There's a barrel. Now I want to take a look at Yucatan. And I think this one's received some changes as well to how much water generates. Looks like the terrains, there's an old stonehead, have also received an update. Overall, my first impression looking at this is that it's kind of similar. maybe more forested than before. The rock terrain is new. Reasonably similar, I want to say. Chickens again. Let me just check if any of the other maps had something in the Chronicles. Doesn't matter. Yeah, there's some small changes on other maps. Mega Random has also been updated to increase the number of variations. I will do a separate video on that, which I'm going to record in a moment, actually. Yeah, the rest were just pretty small fixes on the maps. So there is one more map, though, to look at before we end this video. That one is a real-world map, which means that we're going to go into Skirmish because you can't test those in the scenario editor. Shared exploration, reveal map, all visible. Perfect. Let's go. My mounted units and fire lancers attack faster. Good to know. So this is a real-world map, and this one is really beautiful overall. We have this Gaia wall that can presumably be destroyed. But we have, we have bridges, we have, the new pastures, terrain being used for mountains here. We have some mountains here with ibex. We have sort of a more bamboo jungle area. We have bridges, we have little scenario editor pagodas, lanterns here. Like, this is seriously beautiful. We have, a huge Gaia scenario editor only decoration temple here. We have the blossom trees, we have shrines, Korea. We have more bridges. Like, honestly, perhaps all the real-world maps should get a modern makeover. Then, yeah, well, this is basically Mongolia up here. And you can also look at where the different players spawn. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is kind of central, but you do have this wall at least. 7, 8. Those positions are probably, fixed positions. There's also a bunch of gold over here, which is pretty isolated. And yeah, this body of water is isolated from this body of water here. Beautiful map. I think these shallows you can cross based on what I can see on the mini-map. These are actual areas that units can cross. Lots of decorations. Absolutely stunning. Let's take like a nice... Where am I going to take a nice screenshot? Maybe with the bridge. Maybe something like that. Give something to use for my thumbnail. Alright, so thanks for watching this video. There will be other videos. There's one where I go over all the objects and units. There will be one about map scripting, and there might be one about Mega Random as well. Check them out, and thanks for watching.